Hey all, it's Sterling Murphy from Evidence Violates Community Guidelines. Given copyright, censorship, and other issues, including the biggest issue, which is celebrating and remembering Simon Harris, here's a tribute reboot for him. I often speak in present tense about people even after their bodies have retired. There's little that strikes me as past tense when it comes to lives that have impacted mine. That includes Simon's. Simon Harris has been in my thoughts extra this December 2020. I like to imagine similar happening for today's frontline Britons, when Great Britain again becomes theirs later this decade. Simon's a seeker, voracious and courageous enough in his journeys to discover new truths and report his findings along the way. No possibility of personal, social, or financial loss looms too large for this eager traveler. He shifted his focus when he learned that Islam in Britain's a snake's fang, but not the snake's head. He raised his voice when he learned that the leaders behind the ostensibly British anti-jihadi movement are actually hostile to the English, Scottish, Welsh, and Irish peoples. Throughout the occupied West, we constantly hear that anyone who cares about whites doing well's really just a frothing ignoramus who must be silenced and shunned. But Simon just won't let occupiers succeed with that rot. He's reasoned, humorous, and rigorous, an uncucked professional and stand-up Englishman, a gent who wants his people and all peoples to flourish. Simon also defies the stereotype that people don't change their takes or ways once they've advanced into adulthood. Beginning in his late 50s, he began a speedy and radical transformation as revelatory information appeared before him. In fact, he loves learning so much that he began to edit, annotate, and preserve books. Simon's a good cook. How do I know this? Well, he told me. He told us all. His culinary creations brought many different individuals into his kitchen. Though some in his midst agreed to disagree on his politics, it's nice to hear that all agreed on his delicious dishes. I never got to dine with Simon, but I did get to hear him speak when I attended a Patriotic Alternative conference at which he addressed us via video. His clarity and amiability resonate greatly with others. For more about that, let's watch this sampler that Mark Collette made.
But I talk about nationalism and I suppose how I got here and why it's important to me and the good it's done for me. Well, I don't know if you know, but I'm a little bit older than many of the people in the movement. I'm kind of the super bass boomer. But for me, finally coming to nationalism has been just a relief. It's been like coming home, really, because most of my life, I think I've been forced to live a lie and forced to adhere to a set of beliefs that I didn't really believe in. At the same time, luckily, being older, I was born in 1960, into what was then a working class family. I was born into a place with a sense of community where I've got a very clear idea, for example, of where I was born and where I belong and the community I was brought up in. And this was a time when working class, broadly left-wing communities could be patriotic. And so I've got this very strong sense of an identity. I remember my granddad saying to me when I was very, very little, putting me on his knee and saying, "You're an aristocrat, Simon, but you're a working class aristocrat, and don't never forget that." And I suppose I won't, never will. Because it's all about my sense of identity. And as I've moved around the world, I've always carried that with me. But unfortunately, my middle-class mother separated from my working-class father, and we kind of leaped into another class. And from when I was about the age of 11, everything became very, very liberal. I went to grammar school and then university, and the family and everything around me was liberal progressivism. And I had to fit into this, but I knew I didn't really. And even so, my way of interpreting the world was very based, I think. A good example, being that I'm from Nottingham, would be my interpretation of the Robin Hood legend, for example. I never thought it was steal from the rich to give to the poor. I always thought it was steal from the Normans who are taxing us too much and give back to the Anglo-Saxons, who are the people that this land belongs to. So I had a very, very blood and soil attitude. But at the same time, the system I'd been forced through, the people around me forced me to live a lie, which made me feel very uncomfortable all the time. And they were continually holding four fingers up in front of my face, like in Orwell's 1984, and forcing me to tell them that I could see five and that I couldn't see race. And I couldn't see the differences that were obvious. And I had to be on board with feminism. And gays were just like anybody else. But in my heart of hearts, I knew this wasn't true. So at the point I broke through the indoctrination, it really was like a dam bursting. And I went through the red pill process so quickly. And then I got here and it was like coming home. And I found a community of open people with whom I can share my ideas honestly. And we all help each other in a very non-judgmental way. And that's really important. And I suppose the other important thing for me about being a nationalist is I'm a father. So I've got to think about my future. And any of you guys out there, I've got a really, really beautiful 25-year-old daughter who's actually pretty much on board with most of what I think. It's a great feeling for a father. But obviously, what do I want? I want a good future for her and a good future for my grandchildren. So I'm in the fight here to protect that. And although she's on board, you know, she does sometimes roll her eyes when she hears me come out with some things. But I turn and say to her, look, I know you love me, but the reason why you love me is you know that I'm true to myself. And a lot of what I put myself on the line for is because I want a better future for you. And you know that I'm doing this out of love. So I suppose, what is nationalism for me? It's truth, beauty, and love. And that's what it's all about. And that's what I'm fighting for. And I think I've got a good few years in front of me yet. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to die with my boots on.
Thank you, Simon, for preaching healthy nationalism, that which can unite a people within and across borders, that which cares about all peoples doing well, from England to Spain to Europe and worldwide, that which stands against the globalism that seeks to destroy virtually every individual, race, religion, ethnicity, and country. After years apart, Simon was able to reestablish contact with his daughter, a man who commits himself to peace in his own life, peace for his progeny, and peace for all. Thanks, Simon, for making unfortunately difficult topics so easy to tackle under your stewardship. From the individual, familial, and political spheres, your stellar efforts in your own life, in others' lives, and in our lives will continue to echo. Cheers.